Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. And you know what I haven't done in a while? Is build more Shadows of Brimstone stuff. I don't even know if I got this separate from Kickstarter or with the Kickstarter or what, but this is the Odokuro, which I've always seen as one word as Odokuro, but now that I think about it, I've always seen it as Gashadokuro. So, I don't know. It's a big skeleton, like a really, really, really big skeleton. It's like a skeleton that's so big that you never see it in its entirety. And you can see here, that's why that's just kind of the top half of it. Very nicely painted one on the back. It doesn't say who painted it. I can't think it's the one house painter for most of the Brimstone stuff from Flying Frog. But not only is it, you know, obviously great for the game itself with all of the accompanying goodies, it's not Shadows of Brimstone without a pile of cards and things and counters to go with it. I don't even know if there's any counters. We'll see. Anyway, this is also just great for various, you know, Japanese-themed fantasy-type games. So we do not have... I like these kind of box lids they've been doing lately. Alright, so we got some big sprues here. Various cards. We've got our rules for how it's used, and then the directions are on the back. That's what I was looking for. Stat card with a lot of stats. You've got your regular side in green, and then the brutal side for when you're ready for the big challenge on the back. Curious to see how this thing is in combat. I've played a couple of the larger sized models, but not that many yet. And that's the beauty of a game like Shadows of Brimstone, is despite owning it for years, despite somewhat regularly getting it to the table, not anywhere near as often as I'd like to, I am nowhere close to seeing everything this game has to offer. So you can see here, this is going to be the base. It doesn't have any kind of actual round base, it's just this scenic piece. Grabbing my good old trusty witch hunter friend here, you can see it's going to be a big one. That's why it lives up to that XXL enemy label up there with the dragon. So, I mean, in terms of sharpness of the sculpt, I mean, everything looks pretty nice. Most of the modern stuff in Shadows of Brimstone, I have to say, has been pretty decent in that regard. Of course, I was pretty content with what I got in the original Kickstarter too. I know some people weren't very happy with it. I didn't think it was that big a deal. I mean, you know, it may not be the greatest sculpt, but it gets the job done. I thought they were quite serviceable. So, I mean, some people are just picky. Obviously, the quality of the sculpts has gone up exponentially. I mean, you have some of the early resins. I can bust out some of the more recent plastics. I should have them somewhere. I'm looking around. Of course, I don't see them when I need them. I'm like, I found the veteran gunslinger, but you are a resin model too, so you don't count. Anyway, I mean, if you've played enough Brimstone and you're invested enough in the system, I mean, what's to stop you from yet another big giant monster? I don't know, because that's the fun of this game. I mean, it's taken everything that Warhammer Quest did and just dialed it up to 11. Sure, not everybody's a big fan of the Western theme, but that's so quickly sidelined once the game gets going and you've got all the crazy, you know, esoteric stuff from other worlds, or if you just want to skip the Western altogether and go Forbidden Fortress and have Fantasy Japan, I mean, that's an option too. It's not the traditional Warhammer world by any means, but it's still pretty good, and the rules and the variety has continued to improve as the game goes. So give me a sec, I'm going to get it all put together, and we'll see how it turns out. Alright, we got our Odokuro all finished up here. And I gotta say, it turned out pretty nice. And it's big. I mean, like, really big. But it's supposed to be. So, that's not all that surprising. Thankfully, as you go through the process of building it, there are spots on the base for you to go ahead and get him attached there, so to make painting a lot easier. The biggest issue is obviously in-game that hand is going to be a problem putting him on tiles. That's just a kind of inevitable, I think, just due to how he's posed. Personally, I think it would have made more sense to have that arm up and raised, like he's going to come and claw down on you. I know it's always kind of reaching out in traditional artwork and stuff, but I think for gameplay purposes, it would have made a bit more sense. Unfortunately, it would have also required me to really cut into the arm, and I'm like, I'm feeling lazy and I'm not going to bother. So, yeah, we left it as is. Obviously, it would probably help if I glue him down, because that's going to help raise it a little bit, but it's not going to be enough to actually get clearance under the figure. So you can see here, for a good sense of scale, how about with an actual samurai miniature from the game here? Yeah, they're in for a whole lot of trouble. Honestly, I think this would make some kind of a neat centerpiece for stuff like Kings of War, Ninth Age, any kind of big mass combat game. If you're going to roll undead, just the fact that you've got this giant like this, I think it's a perfect, you don't even need to have it really multi-based. You could just basically cut out a piece of plastic card or something for the appropriate regiment size, whatever, and just plop it down on top. You're good to go. I mean, it's its own unit practically. Would make a great centerpiece. Make a good counts as giant or whatever you want to use it as outside of stuff like Shadows of Brimstone. And I mean, the plastic quality is quite nice. If you want to have it supported with a bunch of skeletons and stuff. We don't have a lot of undead skeletons with Japanese clothing. Well, undead skeletons. I mean, that's kind of implied that they're undead, but okay. Yeah, anyway. We don't have, I'm thinking, undead Ashigaru and type figures like that. I think there might be some from Malifaux. That's about all I can think of. Have to get somebody on that. So overall, cool looking kit. Definitely something different visually than the usual gribbly stuff that seems to come with most of the boss monsters so far in Shadows of Brimstone. Like the Hydralisk and the big worm thing. I can't think of the name. Anyway, I think it's going to be a fun kit to play with. I have not even attempted to look at the rules yet. If you fought the Gashadokuro and lived to tell the tale in the game, by all means, please share it down below in those comments. I'd love to hear about it. I would suggest, I don't know how easy it is to get a hold of. I think I bought this guy during one of the last sales that Flying Frog had. I know they tend to be a little bit pricey in those if you're shipping outside the United States. But for those of us that are within the States, whenever they have those sales, they usually are quite worthwhile. Why are the Jadarans helping? I don't know. He's just going to knock them all. Well, he probably would like the vampire, but I'm going to clear everybody off. Get out of here. So yeah, fun kit. We'll put a link down to Flying Frog's website below if you guys want to take a look if you've never checked out the game. I strongly recommend it, especially if you like the very random factors of games like Warhammer Quest, because it is a great nostalgic nod and somewhat of an update, bringing it into the 21st century. So, with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. It's like he's going for a, touchdown. Bye-bye.